NBN or Wirecast.
Oh my goodness.
Here we go. Are we live, Greg?
We are live,
Hi,
or at least I
everybody.
hope we are. Someone could check and tell me. Wirecast crashed. We had the little spinny beach ball thing happening there in the background. I've got a nice big fat core dump to go and send to our friends at Telestream.
What about it happened? We were sitting here chatting over the morning coffee. And anyway, folks, here we are.
Here we are. We're not going to say anything more about Wirecast because we love you, Telestream, don't we? Let's get on with it.
That. Let's go.
Welcome.
You're at OzByDrone, everybody.
Welcome to OzByDrone. This is our weekly show. Now, just before we do too much, Jaimen, I'm going to need to get you to reconnect because I've got black screen from you at the moment. So that's our guest that we're going to have a little bit later. You will need to reconnect. Can you guys see him, John or Lloyd?
Yes, we can see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you tell him to reconnect?
Reconnect, Jaimen.
Okay. We'll let him go and do that because I've only got black screen from him.
He's onto it.
Okay.
Yeah, he's onto it.
Okay, good. Welcome to OzByDrone. Sorry about our false start. We come here and we talk about tech stuff, and the tech does things to us as well. But anyway, John, what's happening for you this week? Where are you at the moment?
I am in a place called Terry Hills. Now, if you're interested, it's in northern part of Sydney. It's where the weather radar is for the whole city and the Baha'i Temple, because it's the highest point, geographical point in the Sydney Basin. So I thought I'd do my best today, come up to here to the maximum elevation I could, get the best signal I could, so that everyone in the world could see me. But I think I got my ideas wrong about the tech. Look, here I am, Terry Hills. I was in Dubbo yesterday. We did another survey 6 at the rail site. Airplanes are going well, and we just got 2 new Phantom 4 Pro 2s, V2s. So that's my first look at the V2. We've had Phantom 4s up until now. V2's got OcuSync, and that's about it for the goodies, really. But it's a great looking, but it's still holding in strong. It's amazing. The V2, people still like the Phantom. And why not? Great camera, great aircraft, very stable. And, you know, you're either a Mavic or a Phantom, and we've got both. I like them both. So there you go. That's my week.
And every time there's a new announcement from DJI, everyone is secretly hoping it's going to be a Phantom 5. But unfortunately, it was an Osmo Pocket version 2. We can still hope and pray for that next Phantom release.
We can. You know, the Osmo little pocket looks great device. You know, I don't know that I'd buy one. I mean, I like my mobile phone. We've got the Osmos that connect to the phone, which is kind of cool. But I don't know. I think if I was into it, a videographer, someone who got a channel, I suppose, like us, and wants to make lots and lots of stuff on the go, great little gadget in your pocket, records really, really good audio and video. So DJI see a whole new market there. I think that, and it's almost their space. There's some other players in there in terms of the GoPro people, but I think DJI have got the gimbal technology down as well, which makes a lot of the stabilization is really good with coming out of their UAV technology. So there you go. Looks like a good gadget to me.
And speaking of videography, just a quick little early advance warning. You remember about this time last year, I went walkabout and I had the flyers on my car and all of that kind of stuff. I was going on a drive. I'm doing the same drive. This time I got a few other people with me. So look forward to that. We're going to go to some interesting places. OzByDrone will be mobile and remote potentially for a little bit of that.
Right.
So look forward to that coming up in a little while. In the meantime, however, it is time, as always at this time of the week, for the news. And OzByDrone News is brought to you by AirData UAV. As always, is your drone healthy or is it about to surprise you on your next flight? Don't wait to find out. Discover under the hood information and review the early signs of problems before you take off again. Use discount code OzByDrone20 and you will get a 20% discount. There's a link in the description of our YouTube video to get you onto the AirData site. Now, our first story today is about BVLOS. And John, you know, you've got a lot of information about BVLOS. We've spoken about it many times, but this one's a little bit different. Australian data analytics and drone company, Australian analytics and drone autonomy startup Emercent is making history with remotely operated autonomous drone flights. The latest flight took place in an underground mine in Canada, but the equipment was operated from Australia. The flight took place on the 28th of August at an ultra-deep Canadian hard rock mine. Emerson's hover map LiDAR payload enabled an autonomous drone flight underground. That's BVLOS on steroids.
Absolutely. Big stuff. Now, right away, it's inside. Am I right? BVLOS inside?
Absolutely.
So, and obviously if it's a private area and you control the site, the only risk is to a person who might be down the mine. Well, guess what? If you're in a mine, you're at a risky place anyway. You're probably going to be fined by a small drone. So that's great. I mean, we're going to see more and more of this technology, dirty, dull, and dangerous. You know, one of the great things that our aircraft are good for is doing those type of jobs, saving people from having to do risky stuff. I like it. Yeah, it's good.
And I'm just trying to remember, which regulator was it that was talking about regulating indoors? Was that CASA or was that the FAA? I can't remember.
They never. The strange thing was the legislation took a while to catch up. So they said, "Oh, you can't do this and you can't do that, and you can't do this." And then someone said, "Hang about, what about inside?" And they said, "Flying inside. That's one that we don't often do in manned aircraft." So there are specific things around operating aircraft inside buildings, and that's had to be rewritten now, of course. The new rules about flying inside within 3 nautical miles of an aerodrome is that you have to prove and determine that the aircraft can't escape in any way. So it's not going to escape the thing, and you can fly, right, basically inside a terminal building or inside a hangar.
It's an interesting one though. It's an interesting one though because of the concept of your home as your castle and who owns and governs and has the right to govern what you do in your home.
Yep.
An interesting discussion for another day.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, you always remember, yes, you do own that, but of course the risk is that the aircraft escapes and flies somewhere it shouldn't. And if you think that can't happen, then you haven't been doing enough flying.
Yeah. There is a risk there, but ultimately you can't regulate what happens before it escapes, is what my kind of thinking says. But I get it that there's a risk and it'd be smart to think about that. But anyway.
Yeah, you have constitutional rights in terms of your property and the airspace just above your property. Above that, of course, you don't own it. But anyway, yes, another day. If you want to do the Constitution, another day.
Okay, absolutely. Let's move on to the next one. The Pennsylvania Fire Department has unveiled a new underwater drone that it will use for search and recovery operations, both local and regional. During the river and other maritime calls, human divers can be limited by the supply of oxygen, obviously, as well as temperature conditions and so forth. Divers may only be able to operate for about 20 minutes, whereas a drone might be able to go as long as 3 hours.
A new device will make search and rescue efforts on our rivers much easier. The Crescent Township Fire Department has obtained an underwater drone. Chris Hoffman tells us the generosity of one family made it all possible.
The Crescent Township Fire Department will be one of the first in our area to have a remote operating vehicle like this for under the water.
About anything that's underwater and you want to see if you could find it.
Before, they'd have to use sonar on boats and send in divers to check it out. Divers can only last about 20 minutes or so, depending on the conditions.
We could be in the cold water with this, and then when we find our object, we could send a diver down, limits his time in the water.
The drone can last up to 3 hours in the water, has sonar, a camera, a claw, and is controlled by what looks like a video game controller on a boat. The department has a history of being the river rescue unit in that stretch of the Ohio River, and this will help in regional searches.
Whatever we can do to further our compassion and technology on the river, this is it.
It can be used in an immediate search and rescue effort to save a life. In the unfortunate situation of search and recovery, it can cut down the time in finding the victim to give that family closure. The cost was a few thousand, but the department didn't pay a dime.
An interesting piece of equipment.
Means
we'll stop it there, but an interesting piece of equipment.
A new device will make search and rescue efforts.
Let's just stop that. There we go. Look, really cool, but it's interesting seeing non-aerial vehicles. You know, we've seen them before, but actually using them for some decent search and rescue and planning for that, pretty cool.
Absolutely. Very much the same technology in the water of a Pixhawk autopilot, probably not using the altimeter, that's all.
Yeah, you would still be able to measure your depth in the water, I would assume, but what you need to do with that, it's more proximity to the bottom and other sensors like that.
We looked at hiring one the other day, Greg. It's like a radio-controlled boat. Got a sonar, like a fish finder, very simple on the bottom. And a company wanted to have a volumetric survey of a river and how much water the river would actually hold before it floods. So, yeah, exactly. It was cool. Had a controller. I felt like I was just flying a Mavic, but on the water. It's great fun.
Okay, you'll have to tell us more about that another time. But let's move on for today. Our next story is a big drone. Boeing's loyal wingman has taxied under its own power for the first time, carrying out several ground maneuvers at speeds of up to 14 knots, which is 16 miles per hour, or 26 kilometres per hour for those who are not living in another decade. The loyal wingman is being developed for the Royal Australian Air Force under Australia's Advanced Development Program. Boeing says that the low-speed taxi manoeuvre was carried out to verify the function and integration of the drone systems, which include steering, braking and engine controls. When the drone is finally ready for flight, it will be a jet-powered aircraft with a range of 2,000 nautical miles or 3,704 kilometres, or again, for those living in another era, 2,301 miles. This can fly alongside other piloted aircraft or other UAVs as well. Let's have a look.
Well, today we've taxied the aircraft for the first time under its own power down the runway. It was an amazing achievement by the team.
It's a milestone that means a lot to both Boeing and Air Force as we progress towards the first flight test. And then understanding what this system and this capability is going to bring to both Boeing and the Air Force.
Yeah, I'm really proud of what they're doing there because, this is the Boeing Australian team doing a lot of the work on that. And certainly my next door neighbour, Maureen, she used to work for Hawker de Havilland, which was acquired by Boeing. And if she was not retired, she would have probably been on the team building and designing that aircraft, but really proud to have a lot of that happening down under.
Well, Greg, you can tell straight away why it's not an American aircraft. Because there's no sidewinders on it.
True. We don't have guns on things all the time like that.
Well,
anyway.
The Air Force gave at a convention recently, the Air Force had a talk about unmanned aerial vehicles and where it's going. And the biggest problem is going to be here legislation of weaponising any unmanned vehicle. Even the Air Force, I believe, are going to have to wait another 3 years before they can get the legislation right to weaponise something that's unmanned. It's just obviously the states have gone through, America's gone through all that before, but we've never had the reason for it or the technology. But even buying stuff off the shelf here, flying a weaponised unmanned aircraft, not legal for the Air Force either.
Yeah, and I'm sure Lloyd's waiting in the sidelines there to go and have 2 cents. Come on,
Lloyd.
Well, yeah, but we're not going to be flying a DJI drone with a sidewinder on it. We're going to have something like what you just shown with sidewinders on it.
Yeah, that's what I figure.
And we already have them. They're already using them and have been for quite a while. Now, we're not allowed to use them on American citizens inside our continental boundaries.
Oh, that's a good idea.
That's a good idea too.
So
what we do is we go to foreign countries and shoot people, but we will never shoot ourselves. It's always
you only shoot yourselves in the foot. But anyway, let's move on to our next story.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah.
Our next one for today. Multi-copter drones are becoming increasingly useful, but their exposed whirling propellers can get damaged in collisions and inflict injuries on bystanders, sorry. A new prototype drone that addresses that problem by copying the pufferfish. Let's have a look.
Pufferbot.
Drones can be dangerous to people and themselves. We present Pufferbot, an expandable aerial robot which adjusts its size to accommodate its environment.
Now, this is some university research. It's only a...
Near obstacles, it can expand to obscure any moving parts to protect the people in the environment.
Yeah. It's only a new piece of tech, and there's a link in the description. You can have a look
Protect
at
the
that.
robot and avoid damage to its surroundings. It can also potentially be used as a way to signal to the user to not get close to the robot, similar to animals in the wild. The collapsible structure also has the potential to reduce impact speed and damage to the environment.
Yeah, so link in the description. You can go and check out that in more detail.
It looks good. I've got to ask one question. So
Yeah.
if it flies all right with the expanded puffer out, how much? The only thing I have to ask is how much weight is there in the mechanism that expands it? I mean, you know, we got prop guards are pretty light. You can put prop guards on. I mean, I love the idea. I think it's great. But every time I'm putting together an aircraft, every single gram is important, and what it does and whether it's necessary. You ask that question on everything. And so, I mean, it is a great idea. Obviously, we've got more and more power, but I'm just interested. Looks good.
Yeah, I don't know what the weight was. Certainly, if anyone who's watching wants to go and have a look, it's the fourth story in the video description from New Atlas. You can go and click on that link. Maybe someone can click that and find out what the weight is while we move on to our next one for today. We've got one more quick story before we go to our guest, and it's yet another delivery drone story. The UK Space Agency has backed drones which could deliver COVID-19 samples, testing kits and PPE between hospitals. Before I continue, I'm just confused why a space agency is worrying about delivering these things. But anyway, that's the UK for you. These machines will help in the COVID-19 response, avoiding courier call-out waiting times, freeing up staff, and so on and so on. Look, let's just have a look at the video. And again, we've got another fixed-wing aircraft, kind of, or should I say a hybrid.
Yeah, look at that.
A VTOL. A nice sized little piece of aircraft. Now, if we have a look at this and compare that to some of the stuff we've seen before with blood deliveries in Africa and so on, that kind of stuff works in Africa. But when you're working in more congested civilian areas, I think this has got a lot more possibility. You know, VTOL is the way to go.
Yeah, I've always said that. You know, this show for a few years now, I'm telling you, that's the way these airplanes are going to do some real work. You'll always have multi-rotors for inspections and looking at towers and flying down caves and so forth and mines. But when you want to go across some distance, you put some wings on it, and then you can cover some distance.
Yeah. Now, at this point, we're going to go to our guest, but for some reason, the little fancy graphics is not on my screen, but that's all right. Jaimen, hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well. So, Jaimen, you're from OzTechDrones. What is OzTechDrones? And you're linked indirectly to the people we had on last week.
Yeah, I'm looking a bit blurry there, but yeah. Yeah, so we specialise in spray drones. So we have multiple spray drones for agricultural uses. So yeah, we do heaps of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and apologies for the blurry image. It's not his fault. It's the internet and Telstra or whichever network service you're using out there. But we'll live with that for today. So agricultural spraying. What types of work is that going to be in general? Is it all chemical work, or are there other things you do as well?
No, we do multiple different stuff. So hard to reach locations with chemical usage and fertilizer sprays and even seeding and stuff like that. In hard to reach areas, wet areas or forestry, and yeah, heaps of different types of stuff.
So let's just go to the first video clip that we've got in the hopper there. Now this one. turn that down a bit there. Now, this is not a drone, surely.
Yeah, that's one of our cedar drones.
That's a drone. It sounds like a copter.
Sounds like a jet, doesn't it?
It sounds like a jet.
Yeah.
What's the power, the endurance, the type of aircraft that is? Just tell me a little bit more about that.
So that's one of our XAG P30 drones. It's the you spoke to Charles last week, so we acquired that from those guys. So that one's with a cedar attachment, and we were seeding some burnt out bushland on that one, in that video anyway. So yeah.
I got a quick question on that, because you're working with agriculture a lot, right? With seeding.
Yep.
I saw some tech a little while back where it actually had what I could describe as a little torpedo that was not just flinging seeds down, but it was actually penetrating the soil and doing something like that. Wasn't shooting them, but yeah, is that an interesting tech? Have you played with that?
Yeah, so we don't have any of those actual cedar. They're just like a similar, like a little paintball sort of thing that it drops it out, and we don't get into that stuff. But there is a company in Queensland that does do that. But yeah, that's definitely another option to go down as well. But we mainly focus in either small crops or in those sort of areas for some of the big growers here.
And the reason I was asking that, I'm just curious about the differences between, seed growing from what you're doing versus that, and is it worthwhile that complexity, or do you just go and throw out some more seed? And have you done any research in that?
When we're seeding, we're only usually just doing grasses. So grasses, and whereas those balls are usually a tree. So those when they're dropping those balls, it obviously helps it grow the tree first so that it helps it stick to the ground pretty much. Whereas when we're just doing grasses, we just do a blanket cover over the lot and bit of rain, and they just pop up.
And this video that we're looking at right now, this is doing a spiral pattern. Let's just play that again.
Yep.
Is that something that is a standard pattern that you use? Why the spiral? Why not just up and down and round,
So we find that spiral pattern works the best on larger orchard trees, like that's macadamia nut trees there. So we did multiple tests with droplet sizes and water-sensitive paper amongst the trees, and we found the spiral pattern works the best because you get the good coverage of the whole tree. It depends on what the customer's after. If they want a fungicide like we were doing there, they need good coverage of the whole tree. Whereas if we're just doing an insecticide where it's just like a blanket over the whole top, we don't have to do the spiral. We can just run like a normal grid pattern over the whole orchard. So
yeah. Look, it's interesting hearing about these things because, as drone pilots, I would have had no idea that a spiral pattern works better. But let's move on to our next clip. We've got a couple more to go. Yeah. What's this one here?
There, I think. Yeah, so that is some night spraying on soybeans. So we were using some, I forget that was a few months ago now. That was the start of the year, I think.
Now, this is obviously sped up unless you've got a very fast drone. But
this is just a time lapse. So, yeah, obviously these ones are, they can fly at night and whatnot. We have all the certification to fly at night. So that's all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, and being spraying at night as well, certain chemicals you can apply at night. Some you can't, but, yeah, this one we could. So, and there was a lot less wind than during the day. So, yeah, we're able to apply that one at night.
Okay. We've got one more clip, and then we'll just have a little chat and see if Johnny's got any questions as well.
Oh, there's always questions. So this one is, we were on a mine site. They had a leaking dam that was leaking into the actual mine site. So this is a dam sealant that was applied into the on the wall of the dam to stop it from leaking. So
I would have never had any idea that a drone can be used to seal a dam. These are just some incredible applications. How's business for you?
Oh, mate, too busy at the moment.
Yeah.
I just finished the job just then before I come on here.
Okay, what was today's?
We were seeding inner rows of avocado trees. So, yeah, at the moment, we're just too busy. And coming into wet season as well, it's only going to get busier. So we're looking at ordering a few more drones and starting to do the swarming as well and put on a few more operators. So, yeah, it's just a whole nother side of it.
So how's that going with regard to the regulatory side of the swarming?
So we've started the process. It's once we have all our, because we've already have all our current licenses with the drones at the moment, it's not that hard for us to, write up the REOC again and add the swarming, and then also do the training, the on-site assessments and stuff with the CASA guys. So no, they're pretty good. CASA's usually pretty good because it is new thing to them as well, I guess. So they love talking to us and helping us out because we're not experts at it. Like we're not. Everyone's learning, I guess. So yeah, we don't try and act as if we know it all, sort of thing. They help us out a lot. So yeah.
Okay, John, you got any questions or any thoughts?
Have I got any questions? Yeah, I sure do. I mean, this is great, man. I really respect how well you've done with this. And when you say a thing like, "Oh yeah, we sat down and rewrote the REOC for the swarming thing," like that. That's not just a little thing. It's easy to say.
Nah.
But there's a lot of really big things in there that you guys are doing. Can I just ask what your background is? I mean, you obviously. To get to where you are, is it computers, robotics, flying? Where have you come from?
No. Well, I'm actually a qualified boilermaker, so nothing to do with drones. But I've lived on a farm all my life, so went to do just a pasture, just cattle. So we seen a need for, not a need, but we could use those drones in that area. And then as we started doing different stuff with them, more and more farmers, oh yeah, we can use it here, we can do this. And then, now it's just growing like crazy. So
I suppose one of the things that's been good is that, because you're a farmer and you would see how much money you can save by doing this with unmet bigger. So the money's there, it's like many of us in this industry are sort of scraping around using our own money, trying to get jobs. And so if you've got an industry, and this is a good thing for everybody to think about, if you've got an industry you're in already, how could I use drones, to save money and straight away in an industry I know? Well, you've answered the question. I mean, you're a farmer, so you can, you know the environment, and there's a lot to learn. And also a boilermaker's an engineer, mate. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, that's it.
So I'm interesting blend of skills as well. All of the stuff from night flying and the REOC, and I think your attitude towards CASA is really commendable as well. In terms of
they
saying,
can either make or break our business.
Absolutely, man. If you're not going to get on with the regulator, and I suppose one thing that you would know too, you're not working in an urban environment, so you mitigate a lot of those risks, and you're working on your own. A lot of the time, I suppose, on your own property or working on rural land, really. So that's great.
Usually out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. What's the heaviest machine you fly?
The XAG P30, so it's 38.5 kilos.
Yeah, right. So you're up above 25.
Yeah, we have to get the aircraft specific licenses and whatnot for that.
Yeah, that's a whole nother hurdle, man. A lot of manufacturers look at that and say, if we can keep it under 25 kilos, we've got a lot less headache. Yeah. Because once you skip over 25, you're in a world of hurt.
Yeah, that's right. We did start with the DJI Agris, so they're 25 kilos. But then we wanted to take the next step to be a bit more productive and have the reliability there. So that's why we went with XAG. And there's a bit more in it to get the licenses, but now, miles ahead sort of thing.
I'm curious. So, we spoke last week about swarming versus getting bigger aircraft. Do you think, based on what you've seen now, is it going to be more effective for you long term to stay sub 25 and swarm, or do you still want to continue with the bigger aircraft and still swarm, or what's the sweet spot?
The sweet spot at that moment is with the XAG, like the 38 kilo mark. 25 is just too small because you can only carry like a 10-litre tank, whereas we carry 16-litre tanks, and then that's a good sweet spot that you're coming when the tank's usually empty, you're replacing a battery anyway. So if you're going bigger, you would have to replace the batteries more often. Battery is only going to get better though, but the swarming is, we think, is definitely the way to go.
And I saw in one of your videos as well, you had the tank refilling stations, just the level of detail that you've got in terms of not just thinking I'm going to fly, you're actually engineering the entire process and building a workflow around it, which is really cool. Yeah, so
I might sound a bit biased with the manufacturer, but XAG is they really think, it's not just the drone. They manufactured a refilling station, so you're not having any chemical exposure. Even the changing of the batteries, the changing of the tanks, it just makes everything so much easier for us operators. It speeds things up, and it saves us money and time. So,
wow,
that's good.
Yeah. Have you ever flown the Yamaha, Jaimen? Have you ever flown the Yamaha?
No, not the RMAX. No, I've worked with a few guys that have come from that, but I haven't got around to flying. I know they are a lot more into them than just a normal drone.
Yeah, big expensive, very expensive.
Oh yeah, very, very expensive
to crash. Big toys.
150 kilos, that one, 149 kilos.
Yeah, they can only lift 16 litres though.
It's been developed quite a while ago, but that aeroplane's quite heavy. The RMAX is a heavy airplane.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So let me get this right. You said 16 litres on the Yamaha, and you've got 16 litres on your little one.
Yeah, the same weight, and so.
Yeah, same capacity. And one's 38 kilos, one's 149. And the cost, the other thing about the smaller one too, Jaimen, or using a swarm, is that when you lose a large aircraft, and if you don't think you're going to lose an airframe while you're doing this, then you just haven't done your maths. But of course, if you lose working in swarms, the loss isn't as great.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, and even the maintenance side of things as well is a big thing with the RMAX. But I don't want to talk to another company.
Oh yeah. No, we know they've been around for a while, and they would acknowledge that it's early technology. That's years old,
they did well to do that when they were back then, definitely.
Absolutely, they were the first. Yep, that's right.
Yep.
Anyway, at this point of the day, I did warn you, Jaimen, about something, and
ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time to play Stump the Yank.
Or in this case, it's time to play Stump the Grump. And that's right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we like to have some fun. We're the Aussies, and we've got the Yank there in the bottom corner. There he is, Lloyd Mendenhall. We're going to play Stump the Grump.
Yeah, here we go again.
Oh, and he's got his echo on.
Oh, sorry. I was thinking of force multiplier earlier, and I was going to say when you talk about that. All right, there. Is that better?
Let's kill the echo. That's better.
I killed the echo.
I still like I'm pixelated. Yeah.
So Jayden, I mentioned this. This is just a little bit of fun that we have. We talk about drones, but we want to have fun as well. And we like making fun at the Yanks, and the Yanks like making fun at us. So today, got a trivia question for Lloyd over here. He's got some Aussie mates. What question have you got for him?
Are there more kangaroos or humans in Australia?
Oh, that's a good one.
Well, it is a good one.
Yeah. You've stumped the Grump.
I want to say humans.
A lot of people wouldn't call us human down here, mate.
Yeah.
No, that's right.
I was trying. Yeah.
And Jayden, the answer, he's picked humans. That was correct or incorrect?
It was incorrect. There's over 40 million kangaroos.
Yeah, but how many of them can vote?
That's all right.
Now the Grump has one. He told me earlier today that he's got a question that he doesn't think any of us are going to be able to answer. So let's see how we go. Lloyd, what do you got?
Go your hardest.
Okay, well, I want to ask you a question about a person or a thing, okay? And you've got to explain who or what it is and where it came from. Who or what is John or Johnny Grant?
Rhyme and slang sounds like Johnny Grant, an ant. Could be an ant. Johnny Grant.
I figured you'd get this one because it has a lot to do with, in your younger days.
Way before me then.
Okay. If it was Johnny Grant's, it'd be a pants or something, wouldn't it? So
No.
I'm thinking rhyme and slang. Am I on the wrong track, Lloyd?
It is slang, but you're
Is it
definitely
rhyming
on the wrong
slang
track.
though? Is it rhyming slang?
Rhyming
though?
slang.
Sort of.
Oh, okay. Well,
It was used in newspapers about 1916 in Australia, and it's the precursor to the word pomegranate.
Pomegranate.
Or pomegranate. Yes.
right.
Johnny Grant rhymes with immigrant, and it was used as a polite way to talk about, as people falsely think,
Johnny Grant.
prisoners of Mother England, which is not what POMI stands for.
Oh, I get it. A Johnny Grant. Right.
Grant is an
good.
immigrant. Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that. I mean, I'm not quite as old as you, but I just thought I'd throw
I
that
don't
in.
think anyone is quite as old as him.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the because I'd heard a long time ago, prisoner of His Majesty or prisoners of Mother England is what POM stood for, or POMI stood for, and then I found out no, that's a story like, well, it goes with drop bears. Okay.
Yeah. Right.
And but they did, the POMI came up from the term pomegranate, which originally was a takeoff from Johnny Grant, which both
Johnny
rhymed with immigrant.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
That's kind of a rhyming slang.
Yeah, sort of a rhyming slang. Yeah, but anyways,
Grant.
I heard that, I read that yesterday, and I thought, I'll bet John doesn't get this.
Yeah, no, I didn't know it. So in the 60s, you would have said, he so and so is a Johnny Grant, which means he was an immigrant, of course.
Right.
Yeah, I get it. Yep,
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah.
So that would be a rhyming slang.
Yeah, it would be a rhyming slang.
It would be a rhyming slang. I was thinking ants. I was thinking pants. I just didn't have immigrant. So we use a lot of rhyming slang.
Yeah, we've got 1-1. Now, my proposal, John, is if you've got one more question, and we'll see if Jaimen gets it or if the Grump gets it. Have you got one up your sleeve, Johnny?
Okay, yeah, just a quick one for Lloyd. So, relevant today, one of Australia's greatest aviators came out of Bundaberg, where Jaimen is based at the moment. Absolutely a hero of mine, aviator, and it's great to see that Bundaberg's still flying today. And this famous aviator, if he saw what Jaimen was doing, I'm sure he'd be smiling today. Do you know what his name was or what his first major feat was?
I'm going to claim ignorance because first I didn't know Australian had famous aviators.
Is that right? Man, you're looking at him. You're looking at him. What are you talking about?
I thought you were a drummer that just happened to fly. Well, yeah, I guess you'd be a better aviator because drummers aren't musicians.
We've got Charles Kingston Smith. We've got Charles Kingston Smith, Nancy Bird Walton. We've got Houdini flew the first. He wasn't Australian, but he came down here and flew the first aeroplane in Australia. And we've got the man from Bundaberg, who is Bert Hinkler. Bert Hinkler, look him up.
Oh, yeah. I recognize the name now.
And he
Jaimen,
built gliders.
Jaimen, had you heard that name before?
Yeah, they've got big a museum and stuff here for him. Yeah, There's
I just
shopping
couldn't help.
centre named after him. Yeah,
I just
heaps of
couldn't help giving you a hard time about famous aviators in Australia.
Well,
Yeah.
I tell you what, at 15 years of age, Jaimen, if you don't know Bert's story, at 15 years of age, he built a glider and he took it down the Monrepos beach there, and of course went on and on.
Monrepo,
And he was studying. That's right. He was studying ibises at the time, and he flew from London to Australia in a single engine aeroplane. He was incredible. Came in and landed at Bundaberg. So yeah, he's one of our most famous aviators. Of the many that we have, Lloyd, many famous aviators we have.
Just so you guys know, that when I get off here sometime tonight or this week, I will be talking to Grant Smith, who is Grant, Mr. Stay Drunk. And I'm going to be getting an earful about that comment about because he was in the Australian Air Force. That's how we got to know each other, sort of in long ways. But he's going to give me crap all week about that.
Yeah, good.
And I will get a lecture of probably every famous Australian pilot that you guys have. He'll go ad nauseum about it.
I'll get you a list. I'll make sure he's got a list for you.
Okay.
It'll take you a while.
And by the way, Jaimen, sorry about your picture. I'm just looking at you there, thinking you poor thing.
I don't know what's going on.
It looks fine from our side. It's just, it's just.
It's going downstream there.
It's NBN.
Yeah, I'm seeing
no bloody.
He just wrote up there. You got that right. Grant just wrote in the.
I thought it was right today to talk about Bert Hinkler with Jaimen here, and I reckon everyone check out OzDrones and go and check out what he's doing. I really think it's a great story, Jaimen. I'm very, very impressed with what you guys have done, from the regulation, from absolutely doing something good with the aircraft, and in terms of very productive. It's a good news story all around. It's a ripper. So congratulations, mate.
Yeah.
Good. And by the way, you've had some super chats pop up.
Okay, let's just have a quick check of those. Can you put them on the screen again?
Yes. Let me get it. Let's see. Get that one. Takes a second or two to load.
Yeah, it's got to come all the way from Muskogee, Oklahoma.
Well, it's got to come from Australia back to Muskogee, then back to. We got this one here.
$5 super chat. I'm learning about Australian history by watching Drunk Australian History on Comedy Central. $5 super chat from the man, Mr. Ken Heron. Thank you, Kenny.
Yeah, drunk history.
And I love that. Well, that's where you learn a lot about your history, but anyways.
Yeah.
Have we got the others there? Yeah.
Yeah, we got one more there. And
from Wayne King. Wayne, you are an absolute champion. Wayne, hi, Greg and team. Wayne's a regular on our channel and he contributes, and I thank you for that from the bottom of my wallet. I don't have a wallet anymore, but that's another story.
Yeah, I believe that's all of them. I don't think I've missed any. I meant to do the one about Ken earlier. I did not to cover over the face of our guest, but with NBN, it not really making much difference when we have a graphic up there.
Probably make it better.
Okay.
Well,
look, right now what we're going to do, we're going to move on for a little bit and have a few more news stories. And if you want to hang around, we'll have a little bit of fun right at the end of the show. Just stick in the background. If you need to disappear because you got some work, that's totally okay as well. Whatever works for you, but we're going to go through a few more news stories now. Thank you very, very much for being our guest, though.
Yeah, no worries at all. Thank you.
Okay, let's move on for our next news story here. Amplified have been awarded grants of more than $1 million. The company has pioneered wildfire fighting with drones. The funding is intended to help conduct research and development on improving safety, decreasing the costs, and increasing the effectiveness of firefighters battling wildfires, the company said in a recent news release. And on that picture there, just leave it on the screen for a bit, you've got, I don't know if these were deliberately incendiary balls that they've got in there that are designed to go and help for backburning, or if they are retardant balls. Either way, using the drones, dropping those balls and helping with firefighting efforts. So some good use of drone tech there. $1 million grants. And Johnny has frozen.
I'm back.
He's back.
No, I'm back. Yeah, again, people jumping on the tech wagon. You know, it's great, and you know, as Jaimen will tell you, these things cost money to get into, whatever level you're doing. So yeah, it's a great story.
Yeah. And the next one, this one, we've seen so many delivery drone stories, but earlier this week, a drone delivered a small payload to a US Navy submarine as it sailed on the surface of the Pacific Ocean near Hawaii. The Navy said that this was a test to explore some novel concepts for resupplying submarines while they're out on patrol, but certainly also brings up some thoughts about how some aspects of at-sea replenishment in general might look in the future.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
But interesting.
There's a couple of challenges there, right? The first thing, you imagine taking your DJI aircraft and trying that out, getting close to a submarine. Guess what, guys? The compass
interference.
Ballistic.
Yeah.
Compass is going to go ballistic. Oh, look, the other thing is, whereas I think that's a lovely little news clip. Where did it take off from? If it took off from another ship and you're resupplying a submarine, you know, we used to do it with a boat and they worked pretty well, you know. Even in strong, bad weather, a boat was a good way of getting stuff onto a submarine, even from the shore. So, I mean, they're probably just trying to figure it out, what would be good for a small payload. But, you know, there's so many different naval applications for it. There's a tender out here at the moment. The Australian Navy is asking all people in the UAS industry to show us what you've got, tell us what you think you can do, because they're looking at it all. They really opened up to industry to do it, and the Army's always been the same. Air Force not so much, but the Army and Navy are very keen to learn what's out there. So,
okay, very cool. We've got 4 more. We're going to quickly whiz through them. The next one, a solar drone has recently performed a successful test flight. The drone is equipped with a custom solar foil to reflect and absorb more sunlight. The solar-powered prototype is designed to be used for urgent medical transport and to support emergency services and nature conservation initiatives. Pull that sound down a little bit, but they're going and having a look at some of this stuff. But from what I gather, WattLab, they're the people who are doing what they describe as, let me have a look, custom solar foil. So some new tech in what they're doing there, and it's obviously got to be lightweight to sit on top of the drones. But interesting use of combination of drone and other energy technology together.
Yeah, it'd be great if one day we could get enough power from those cells, those photovoltaic cells to power that thing. Would be great.
Absolutely.
I don't think we're there yet, but you know, unless someone tries, you're never going to get there, are you? So I love that.
Absolutely. I just got a super chat here. Jaimen, did I hear you're hiring? That comes from E0. So Jaimen, there's a job opportunity, someone trying to get some work with you. Let us know a little bit later in the chat perhaps. And for the moment though, we've got only a couple more stories left. This one is what I've titled as a creative drone. Armored Saint has released their 8th full-length album. Punching in the Sky is the name of the album. The music video begins with some impressive drone photography. Let's just have a look at a little bit. Now, I've turned the audio off here because I didn't want to get problems with copyright. But let's just have a look at some of their drone photography at the beginning of their album. You'll just have to imagine the music. Or, better still, go and click the link in the description and check that out yourself. But it's a nice way to creatively add to the music that they've got at the beginning of their new music video. that's all we'll have a look at for that one, just a quick one. And the next one we're going to have a look at. Now, I've titled this one Gap Drone. And for some reason it didn't make the noise, doesn't matter. Now, this one I found on Reddit. And flying gaps is always challenging. The pilot in this video saw a gap that was just too inviting to ignore. Now you can see that there's a little bridge in that still photograph. Can we just put that full screen, that photo, for a minute? You can see that there's a gap there. And he says, usually I don't fly that way, but sometimes I just can't resist. Of course, there's always a chance of losing a drone or crashing in the lake. So the question is, do you think, and answer this in the chat if you can, is he going to make it, or is he going to crash in the lake that's on the other side of that gap? What do you think is going to happen? Let's play it and see. So there's the first gap through the trees, but wait to see what happens next.
Oh yeah. Wow.
That was absolutely stunning. One more time, come on.
Yeah, watch that again.
Now have a look at this gap down here, that little bridge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some incredible
That's
flying
great.
there. I just had to have that in there. And we've got one more. Now, this last story I've entitled as Face Off. Now, let's just put the still photo up first on the TV screen there. Now, you can see that we've got a little face there. Now, this face was made with drones. Now, so what? We've all seen pretty drone displays before. But now let's play the video. And this is 200 drones that have been animated for a 300-foot face as it lip syncs. The drones are lip syncing an original song called High in Heaven from their stage set in the clouds. The performance was built through a 2-year partnership with Firefly Drone Shows. The goal was to create a breakthrough performance with something more than spinning stars and circles and capture a human face performing with a song. Now, again, I've left the music out for copyright reasons. I'm not wanting to use their music without permission, but I did want to show you this face is absolutely incredible. Do go and check the link. It's in the description. I will give you one hint. They actually said in the production of this work that when the lips were moving, the drones would need to be flying at 30 miles per hour, I think from memory they said, and then braking on a dime. So what they've actually done, they've slowed it down 5 times slower than what the original work was, and they've resynchronized the music later on. But some really cool use of drone tech.
Oh, that's incredible.
Okay. Now, we've reached the end of our show. Now, it's 5 minutes to the top of the hour. I got a quick question, John. Have you got a couple of minutes left for 1 or 2 jokes?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, now, Jaimen, this is some stuff. We have a bit of fun with joking off. And it's a crazy, stupid name. But the goal here is, Jaimen, have you got a joke?
Oh, I'm still pixelated.
You're still pixelated, yeah. It's okay. We don't mind. It's creative.
I look like I'm a... yeah.
You know what? My wife is saying before you wiped your face and it... Oh,
yeah, that's what I'm just doing.
Yeah,
is that any better?
Fixes it for a little while. It fixes it for a little while. There we are. You're back again.
God.
It's okay for the moment. Jaimen, have you got a one-liner or a quick little zinger joke of any kind that you want to share? And your goal is to make someone of the other 3 people here crack up. If you can crack anyone up, you win the point.
Bloody hell. Oh, you've hit me on the spot. Oh.
Okay, that's all right. I'll give you a minute.
What about farming? What a cocky joke, Jaimen, you know?
Yeah, right, I go
There's
for
plenty
it.
of those going off the land. Off you go.
Oh, you want me? I thought you had one.
No.
I don't know. Oh, a bit of a dad joke, eh?
Yeah, that'll do.
What has 4 wheels and flies?
What?
What?
A garbage truck.
Yay.
I'll give that a half a mark. A computer once beat me at chess, but it was no match for me with my kickboxing skills. Gee, thanks, guys.
That was sad.
John, one for you.
You hear about the guy who went up to the lawyer and said, for $200, can I ask you 2 questions? And the lawyer said, yeah, what's the second question?
Yeah, okay. An oldie but a goodie. But I still reckon our guest is leading at the moment. Lloyd, one from you. Last one.
What did the judge say when the skunk walked into the courtroom? Odor in the court.
Odor in the coat.
No, our guest is the winner today. He's got the best one of the 4 today. Look, thanks for being with us. And look, if anyone does want to work with you and go and earn some money out on the farms, type your details in the super chat and you can have a chat to each other in there. Not in the super chat, in the chat.
Yep. I've got a good lineup.
You got a good lineup. You got a lot of work ahead.
Oh, I ask people asking me every day. No.
You have to be able to ride. A horse in a quad bike first.
Yeah. And the problem is you can't get into Queensland at the moment anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. So we keep all the good people here.
Oh.
There you go.
Okay. Look, it's been fun as always, and we've reached the end of the show. Let me just briefly put up a couple of the quick announcements. Number one, if you want to send us anything, upload at gregkuhnert.com, or you can even chuck it on our Discord. Speaking of which, there's a few that I'll bring from Discord and throw up next week. Follow us on social media, OzByDrone, on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, and many, many other platforms. Over here, we've got the next one, which is a postal address, which is 5/127 Princess Highway, Sylvania, New South Wales, 22224. And that's the end of our show. Last words. Who wants to go first? There's our guest. What are you? Last comments from you?
Have a good day. For some of you, have a good night.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Lloydie?
Well, hey, thanks for having me. And wow, what a great guest. You've had great guests 2 weeks in a row. So next week will probably be a total crash, but
Yeah.
So this week's been good other than the false start, but thanks for having me on.
And the pixelation.
Pixelation, but that's Telstra. We can't do anything about that.
That's NBN Telstra. You just it's been that way for as long as I've known about it.
Yeah, and Johnny.
Yeah, look, great. I love the show today, and once again, congratulations to Jaimen. That's a really good story today about stuff we're doing in Australia, working with drones, doing some good things. So seeding and working in the ag business. We got a lot of agricultural applications here, and that's great, man. It's good to see the farmers out doing it. That's what I like. So thank you. Great story.
Okay. And everyone else, thanks for being with us. It was a good, fun show today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being part of it. And we will see you same time next week. Thanks again. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone. See you later.